Hello everyone, Hunter Birch here, and welcome to my very first video on this new channel for tips, tricks, and tutorials for videographers and photographers like myself. First of all, if you found this channel, thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe and I'll keep making videos and showing you guys what I know. For my very first video, I'm going to be showing you something that is blowing up across social media and is very, very cool. It's called cinemagraphs. It's a mix between a photograph and a video. So this is the shot that I took. It's pretty cool place, but it still is a little bit boring. Today we're going to be turning it into this. So as you can see, there's sound effects, there's movement, and it just makes the picture a lot more dynamic, and most people haven't seen this, and it's definitely something to add to your portfolio. So let's cut the crap and let's jump right in. Alright you guys, so the first thing that I like to do is to open up Lightroom, and I like to add some changes to the photo to make it, my style that fits my social media. So there's the original photo. As you can see, it's a little bland, it's a little dark. So I'm just gonna kind of go up these edits here and kind of show you what I did. So first, I cropped the rectangle. I have a couple of predefined presets that I like to use. And so I added this one, which gives it a little bit more purple hue, drops the temperature down. Then went ahead and fixed up the faces a little bit, add some dehaze down at the bottom and adjusted the color, made it a little more blue down here, a little more purples, and then finally adjusted the hues of the whole photo to get the style and look that I'm looking for. So we're going to take this photo and let's just push it straight into After Effects. Okay, so the first thing, create a new project, we're going to create a new composition, and let's call this Cinematograph. Now I set the aspect ratio to 0.8, which is the maximum height by width that you can go on Instagram. This was for Instagram. We're just going to drag and drop it into the composition. Drag it down here and scale it back. Right about there. Okay, so now we have our photo in After Effects. Now it's time to start animating it. So this is where you get to get creative. So you have to choose elements of the photo that you want to animate. So for instance, this photo, I'm going to animate the water, I'm going to animate the fog, the fire, the rocks, and the sparks. So let's just rename this to base. And you rename by clicking enter once you've highlighted it. This will be water, this will be fire, rocks, and that should be good for now. So those are the three elements that we're going to be animating in this photo. So let's begin. The first thing that we got to do is create some masks. So I'm going to turn off these and let's start masking out this water. Alright, next let's mask out the fire. There we go. So now if we take a look at just the fire, that's what we're looking for. Now last but not least, let's do the rocks here. And I'm actually going to create two masks on the rocks, and I'll tell you why later, but let's just go ahead and do that now, and then I'll explain. And this one's just going to be slightly bigger than the other mask, just like this. So now I have everything masked out, so now let's start animating. So let's start with the water here. I'm going to click it, I'm going to go to Effect, Distort, and we are going to ripple. And that creates a nice rippling effect. If you bring up the radius, bring up the height and the width, you can start to see the rippling take place. So we want it to start lower, right about there, kind of where the lake would be rippling. Let's make the width a little bit higher like that. And obviously that's a little too fast, so we're going to drop this down to maybe 0.7. Looking pretty good so far. And make that, bring it up a little bit closer there. Perfect. Okay, so now we have a nice rippling effect in the water. Almost makes it look like it's animated. And you can always drop the radius down if you want the rippling to be a little bit less apparent closer to the shore. So I'll show you. So now you got more ripple back here and not as much up there. So we'll leave it at that. Alright, so now let's work on the fire here. And we're actually going to add the same effect, a ripple effect. So I'm going to come here, add a ripple to the fire, and then let's play around with it. So we want the ripple to be coming from the bottom there. Something kind of like that. Okay, can you bring the width up just a touch? Looks a little bit bigger there. And maybe the height down, so it's more up and down like that. Okay, so now we have the fire, we have the water, as you can see, and now let's get the rocks. So for the rocks, this is what I did here. I went to distort and I added in a reshape. I added a reshape on the rocks here, and this is where those two masks come in. So we want to start with mask 1, we want to grow to mask 2, and make the boundary on mask 2. So for this, what I did is I set a keyframe on the percent at 0, and we're going to move to roughly halfway, and just move it to 2, and that's going to distort the rocks and give it that pretty wild look that it's growing and moving. And then we're going to move to the end and move that back to 0. Okay, so now if you can see, we have that pretty wild moving effect. It's kind of growing the rocks and shifting them, and it makes it almost look like your photo is alive. So with all those on, you can see that we have a nice moving image there. So now let's move to some of the effects, adding the smoke and adding the sparks on the fire. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to hop over to YouTube, and a lot of the times we'll have really awesome free stock footage that you can use and put into your videos, and all you have to do is Lumi key out or screen the footage, and it should turn out well. So let's head over to YouTube, and what we're going to do is type in spark overlay. Definitely check the rights to it and make sure that you can use the footage. It's like down here, you have free stock footage, and you can make a donation. Suggest you do. They're definitely helping us out. So we're going to copy this and just go to, I like to use keepvid.com, enter in the URL, and we're going to download it. And I already downloaded the sparks and the smoke, but I'll just show you how to find them here. So fog overlay, I believe I used this one here. Here's the smoke, and here's the sparks. We're going to drag them in. So we'll work on the fog first, and then I'll show you the the sparks. So for the fog, let's drag it in, and we'll go right about here. And that is Option closed bracket to make a cut. We'll go to right about here. Option open bracket, right click, time stretch. Let's go double that there. Okay, so now go over to effects and preset, just type in key, and we're going to go key light there. And we're going to click on that green there, and it should cancel out all the greens and give us a nice fog effect there. So now what I like to do is I'm also going to add a warp, mesh warp there. And we don't need this many, so we're going to drop this down to something like that there. And we're just going to drag these in to kind of give it that look that it's really floating on top of the water there. So that should be good. And let's just bring this down to right about there. I am going to key out some of this area here to kind of, so it's going around that rock there. And if you click T, it opens up the opacity, and we're just going to drop this down to about 60 and turn the keying to overlay. And also what I want to do, you could tell how the fog is moving from right to left. I'm going to just flip that so it's moving from left to right. So now we have the fog rolling in over the rocks, over the river. So it's really coming together. Now I'm going to show you guys these sparks. So we're going to drag and drop the sparks on top, just like this. If you have a black background, you're going to want to set the mode to screen. If you have any other color besides white, the green screen, anything like that, you're definitely going to want to use key light to get that color out. So let's take this, and we're going to add mesh warp to it again. And drop this down, 1 and 2. And let's drag it in so it looks like it's really coming from the fire there. So now scale, position, and transparency. And you can open up multiple tools there by holding shift. So scale is S, transparency or opacity is T, position is P. So if you hold shift, you can open them all at once. So let's bring this up like this. And now you can see the sparks kind of, flying into place. Looking good so far. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to remove some of these sparks in the background, because if we're going to be animating the sparks, we don't want stationary ones there. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on the clone tool here, and we're just going to double tap that to open it as a layer base. And then what you do is you push Option or Alt, click a spot that you want to mimic, and then we're just going to kind of go over these sparks there and just cover them up. And we're going to just leave that one just because. Okay, and that looks good. So now we have removed all the sparks there. We can close out of that, and they're all going to disappear. All right, and we are getting very, very close. So the next thing, let's just preview it, make sure everything looks good. So we got the moving fire, sparks coming up. Actually, what I'm going to do with these sparks is I'm going to right-click and do time stretch, and I'm just going to double their speed there, just so we have a little bit slower spark, and find a good place to start it. So there's a couple going off. We're going to start right about there. Perfect. So now we have the water lapping down here. We have the smoke rolling in. The rocks are animated a little bit, give it a little bit more dynamic range to it. The fire's animated, and we have some sparks. So that's looking really good. Now the finishing touch, and a lot of people skip out on this, and I think it's very important. It's going to add a lot to your video. The last thing is going to be the sound effects. So what I like to do, same thing as before, I like to go to YouTube, and we're just going to type in, let's just go campfire sound effects, just like this. And I like to filter out so it's a little shorter, and then let's just pick one here. That sounds good. Let's copy this. Let's go here. And we're just gonna go YouTube to MP3. Click on one of these, paste it in, and it's gonna start it, and then you can download it. I've already done it, so I'm gonna go ahead and just drag and drop and add it in there, just like this. Whoop, missed call. And we're gonna throw that in there, and that's looking really cool. So as you can see, doing this to your photos, it's extremely easy. It doesn't take a lot of time, but it's gonna add a lot to your photos. It's gonna add a lot of dynamic range, and it's gonna make them a little bit more interesting. Plus, Instagram really likes video, and they're doing a lot of promoting for video. So you have better chance of getting seen by more people. So I hope you guys like this. Comment down below if you have any questions. Definitely like, subscribe if you're awesome, and I'll keep making more and showing you some of my tricks and tips. So thanks for tuning in. Tune in next week.